I cannot believe it. This is 2 times in a row. Man, that was a dumb thing to do. We had so many awesome things videoed, and you know what? I've been sick for about 2 or 3 days. I haven't been feeling good, and as I went through to do my video editing, I deleted everything. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you what we did on the front axle on the 55 Chevy 2-door Gasser wagon, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of wiring that Tommy did, and he did a whole bunch. That's for a future video, but we'll just kiss on it a little bit this time. But I'll tell you what, so upset when I discovered what I had done. Now this is the second time I've done this. For those of you who've been around long enough and have bad taste in YouTube channels, you'll know that about 6 months ago I did the same thing. I was clicking around on the computer and an entire week's worth of videos deleted. And I'm not real sure how it happened this time. But I know when I went to try and find the videos of the entire assembly of this front suspension, the axles, the kingpins, the spindles, it's gone. Boom. Not good. Really not good. But you know what? Let me show you what we did. That a couple weeks ago I did a video and I said it feels like on this car we are taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And we are finally moving forward on the car again. If you'll notice, we have a backup on wheels. And the cool looking wheels instead of the ugly ones we had on there. So let me show you what we did with the axle. Alright, let me give you a little bit of description of what happened. So you'll notice down here on the bottom where I welded, this bottom section here, it used to be on the top up against the spring. Now remember, whoever had done the car before had the axle upside down. The kingpin orientation was completely wrong. Everything was wrong about it. So when we flipped the axle the correct way, the only way for that to fit on this spring was to set on top of the spring. And if it did that, it lowers the front end of the car. That's not the look we're looking for. It also would hit on the cross member in the center. So that's not what we want to do. So what we did was we took 1/4 inch plate and we built basically a flip kit. And so this is a C-shaped. It goes on top of the old perch, and then we welded it in solid to where this angle here and this angle here are the same. So it doesn't change anything as far as the orientation is concerned on our axle, which makes it work. Then we went ahead and put the kingpins in. Let me show you where they are. All right, so hopefully you can see the new kingpin orientation. Before, the kingpin was angled at this angle, and now the kingpins are angled at that angle, and that's the correct orientation. So you have a pin that goes down through this spindle, the top of the spindle, through the axle, and through the bottom of the spindle. And here's the problem, that has to be a very tight fit in there. And so one of the lovely things we showed you on the video that I decided to throw into the trash can was that the easy way to make this happen after you have it out is you put those kingpins in the freezer for about a day, and you get them nice and cold. And when metal is cold, it shrinks, and when metal is hot, it expands. And so with those kingpins shrunk down a little bit, that allows it to be driven through there much, much easier. A lot easier than when you saw me try and pull it out. And a couple of videos ago we did that. So that made it drop through much easier. It went right into place. We put our caps, we put our springs, ta-da! We now have, because over here we have the axle in the right orientation, we have the kingpins oriented right, we have the spindles back on, and we went ahead and assembled the hubs. We put the hubs together on the spindle so that we could put our tires back on. Now in addition to that, we changed a few things as far as the steering is concerned. Let me show you that. You'll notice that this steering bar, which is in here temporarily right now, you can see it's just barely tacked, but that steering bar goes all the way across the front end of the car. And that used to be behind the axle, and it used to be up high to where it tried to bump into the springs whenever it collapsed real hard. And that was not good for us. So we actually changed the location of these steering arms, and we bolted them down here on the bottom instead of up on top, bolted them down on bottom and brought them out front, and we changed that location. So now what we have to do is we're going to build another arm up here. It's going to come out and it's going to stick back the same direction, and our crossbar to our steering arm is going to steer all the way across the car. It's going to push here, which will make the wheels go the right direction. So it actually works out very, very nicely for what we're doing. So in addition to that, we also got rid of our drum brakes. We took the drums off from the hubs. We took all of the backing plates off. We got rid of those. We're either going to build our own kit, or if we can find one reasonably priced, we will get a new disc brake kit for the front of this car. In the olden days when I was young, it was all about going fast. And now I realize that stopping is more important than going fast. Because if you don't stop, you die. Yeah, not a good idea for me. So we're gonna do a brand new disc brake kit on the front of this car. We'll run drums in the back. That's not an issue. But we're gonna make this thing stop nicely. Stop on a dime, as they say. At this point in time, after we finish building our crossbar, a new crossbar with new tie rod ends, and a steering bar, and our steering arm back here on the spindle, the entire steering system will be finished on this car. Right now, we can actually move it around, which is good. That's what we wanted. We want to be able to move it, you know, backwards and forwards to get other things in and out. So that being said, we also did some electrical on the 55 Gasser this week. So Tommy took the gauge cluster out. Let me tell you how Tommy is. I'm sure that most of you have been in this situation, whether it's with cars or work or gardening or yard work or whatever it is. When you first take something out just to see, you know, okay, what do I need to get this done? It always turns into more. And you will hear Tommy confess to that on this video. Tommy's going to let you know that, well, I just pulled the gauge cluster out to look at the back and see what was missing. And the next thing I know, he's rewired the entire underneath of the dash. So I'm going to show you that right now. Check out Tommy and his wiring disaster.
First off, we're going to get the column loose. I don't have to take the column out, but I do need to get it loose. Get in there with that. Let's try this again. So the trick is today is to not break anything. Huh. It just pops off. Okay, so I have the dash cluster out of the 55. What I'm going to do, I'm pretty sure that this stuff is just going to fall apart. Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Thomas, what you playing with?
Wiring. This girl's almost completely done.
Well, why would we want to do that?
Yeah, well, you know what happened was I started by taking a dash cluster out just to see what wasn't there, and you know where that went. Yep. It's like you're staring at it, might as well just do it.
So in that video right there, you could hear my lovely voice as I was super sick that day, and I came out to see what was happening, and he showed me what he had got involved in, and it ended up taking an entire day when he just thought he was going to look at it. Sometimes things get away from us. Anyway, you know what? It ended up pretty darn good. You got to do the wiring at some point anyway. We might as well be now. So we've got a bunch of welding done on the inside. You saw that in the last video. We got a bunch of the wiring done. We have most of the front suspension put back together. We're getting ready to start wrapping up an engine. And you know what? We're going to be trying to make this thing run pretty quick. Hey, we want to thank you guys for spending the time with us to watch our silly projects. And we'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a like with that thumbs up. You know, share the link. Leave a comment. On my last video, which was not my best video, I apologize, but I was very, very sick. At the very end, I left a message. And the message was, hey, email me for a free gift. I appreciate the time you guys take to spend watching what we do. We got a lot of really exciting things coming up. We got parts coming up for the Land Rover. We have parts to finish on this lovely 55 Gasser. And we have a couple other things coming up too. We're working on that 02 Camaro, putting an LT1 in it. Anyway, we appreciate you guys coming and spending the time. And as always, thanks for watching.